is Michael Bronson, and the company is AnesthesiaGo. Michael, are you ready?
I am ready, and I appreciate this opportunity. So yes, I'm Michael Bronson. I am the CEO and co-founder of AnesthesiaGo. I am also a full-time practicing anesthesiologist. And if you were to ask me last year what the most stressful part of my job was, it was not difficult airways, it was not trauma patients, nor was it postpartum hemorrhages. The most stressful part of my job last year was making the daily schedule. The process of determining which anesthesiologist is going to do which case the next day, which is a very complex puzzle that is solved on a nightly basis. And this is a very simplified look of what that process looks like. It's 5 o'clock, you're in the OR, you're presented with all of the hospital cases for the next day. You're presented with all of the surgery center cases for the next day. Maybe there's some off-site locations that your group covers as well that you need to provide coverage for. You're also given a list of all your providers for the next day. And that list is a hierarchy list where the first person is the call person. They typically will have the most complex cases. They will have the longest day, all the way down to the bottom person who will go home the earliest and usually have the least complex of cases. At this point, you can start putting your foundation together to make the daily schedule. You may identify that you have one cardiac case and you have one cardiac anesthesiologist. So that's an easy fit to start the foundation for your schedule. You may also identify that there's a patient requesting a certain anesthesiologist, and it's your goal to make that happen. So you're going to put that anesthesiologist on that case. Now, there are, unfortunately, surgeons that don't want to work with certain anesthesiologists. That's prevalent all across the country. And so to make the day go by smoothly, to make the ORs manageable, to benefit the patients, it's best to not put those two pairs together. And so you want to make sure you're not putting that anesthesiologist with that particular surgeon. You have to identify your off-site locations and know which providers go to those locations. Likewise, your specialties, your pediatrics, your cardiac, your regional blocks indicated, you need to know who does those and make sure you put the appropriate people on those cases. And lastly, you need to account for meetings. So some people will have meetings in your group and you'll need to make sure you give them a case that will end in enough time to make that meeting on time. So if you're lucky, at the end of an hour, you will arrive at something that resembles a functional schedule. At this point, you can call the OR schedulers, tell them who is going to do each case. They will input those names on the master schedule and then distribute that to the surgeons, to the anesthesiologists, to the charge nurses, to your other centers. And if you're really lucky, you're not going to get a phone call or a text 30 minutes later after that schedule goes out that you've double booked someone or triple booked someone or gave someone a case requesting a nerve block when they don't do nerve blocks. Now, AnesthesiaGo was born to disrupt this process. And our goal, we put 4 goals in mind when we started this. We wanted to make it faster. If you look at our market research, groups across the country were taking 45 minutes to 2 hours a night. Sometimes 2 anesthesiologists work in tag team to produce the schedule. We wanted to do this via automation. Let technology do the majority of the work for us, get us 95% of the way there, and let us put that final human touch on before we finalize the schedule. We wanted to minimize the chance of human error, the chance of double bookings, chances of forgetting to assign someone cases. And we wanted to make it more efficient, less downtime between cases, and maybe even making the schedule with less people required. So the principle of our platform is pretty simple. We bring in 2 components. One is the cases for the next day. So we import all of your cases for the next day into our system. Our system extracts all the pertinent information it needs to make the schedule. We also need the personnel for the next day, the call order, so it knows who's working and who it can assign cases to. We bring these 2 pieces of information together through our platform, and we produce the most optimal, the most efficient schedule based on these cases, based on this personnel, and what everyone's capable of doing and where they're capable of going. At this point, the end user has the ability to drag and drop cases if they want to move things around. We have locked the vertical time axis, so there's no risk of changing the time. And once the end user is happy, they can click a button and distribute this color-coded map to the entire group, to the OR schedulers, to the surgery centers, whoever wants to see which anesthesiologist is assigned to which case the next day. So we talk about automation. There's 10 different things that we're automating for when we're running it through our algorithm. We're making sure that the anesthesiologist on the case has the specialty credentials to do that case. If it's a cardiac case, they need a cardiac anesthesiologist. We're making sure that anesthesiologist goes to that location. It's common for groups to service multiple locations, and not everyone in the group services all locations. Like I said before, the more complex cases tend to fall to the people that are on call or higher up on the call panel. We factor that in when we do the schedule, as well as the hierarchy in that the lowest person will have the shortest day. If there's shift work at someone's institution, like a CRNA or an independent contractor that works between a certain period of time, we take that into account and only schedule providers during that specific time. If there's a change in location during someone's day, we factor in the drive time, and that drive time may differ depending on which location you're starting and coming from. If there's meetings, we take that into account. If a certain location requires some sort of PACU responsibility, so this anesthesiologist should stay 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes after that last case, we take that into account and not let the algorithm schedule them for a case directly to follow the last case at a certain location. If there's a case to follow in the same OR, the same procedure room, or if there's a case to follow with the same surgeon at a different location, it will create a bundle so that anesthesiologist stays with that room or stays with that surgeon. And lastly, I mentioned this before, surgeon preferences. It has a list of who is preferred by each surgeon, and it will preferentially schedule that anesthesiologist with those surgeons. And we'll have a negative request from the surgeon, so it will never schedule an anesthesiologist if a surgeon has indicated they do not want to work with them. Now, when we built AnesthesiaGo, our goal was to make the life easier for the end user, the anesthesiologist making the daily schedule. But we soon found out there were some other people that benefited from more efficiency on our end. The Boardrunner is the person that's going to be the captain of the ship the next day. They're going to take that schedule that was made the night before and manage it as add-ons and cancellations and emergencies come into play. They're presented with that color-coded map the night before, so they're prepared to handle the day as these items come up. Every provider will get an individualized schedule that shows them where they're going at any given point of the day. We have the ability to generate your own case reports based on whatever variable or variables you want to look at. You can go back and review previous schedules. And this was a big one for me. I think we were losing a lot of important data with traditional pencil and paper methods. And so we're capturing that data. We're running it through our analytics platform and presenting our users with very robust analytics every time they log in. So you can make higher level decisions, such as how many providers to put on each day of the week. Now, if we go back and look at our goals when we first started, we wanted to make this faster. And our research has showed that using this versus traditional methods is on average 44 minutes faster. We did this via automating the process. It is very hard to make a human error with our program. If you drag and drop a case onto an anesthesiologist where it shouldn't go, it will alert you and allow you to override that error if you'd like, or it will alert you to that error and ask you whether you want to do it or not. We've shown that we're about 13% more efficient compared to traditional methods. We could do the same schedule with less gaps in between cases, keep people productive, and they also make the same schedule with less providers needed. And I'm gonna add one more as well. When you factor in all the time savings, the 10 to 20 hours a month of physician time savings, it's cheaper to go with a technology platform. So when I first started, I said that the most stressful part of my job was non-clinical about a year ago. And for the last 10 months, our group has been using this program. And order is restored. The most difficult part and most stressful part of my job is now the clinical, the difficult airways, the sepsis, the code hemorrhages, because we've gone from this type of system to this.
Thank you, Michael. Your time is up. Judges?
Tell us a little bit more about your business model, and have you done any customer discovery or have any traction, others interested, and so forth?
Yeah, so our business model is very similar to companies that do a monthly schedule program for anesthesiologists. And so the monthly schedule to me is that one component that we bring into our algorithm, who's on call every day. There are about 15 plus companies that do that kind of scheduling. And so our model is very, very similar, where we do charge a setup fee to get the group onboarded, fine tune their algorithms, make sure that they're set up, their importing features are ready to go. And then we would charge a monthly subscription fee to continue to use the program. And I missed the second question.
You just answered it in a way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, so attraction, you did mention attraction, and we have started to give demos of the program. We haven't really started the marketing of what we're doing here. So we've been using it for about 10 months, and we're looking to start our marketing campaign in the fall. But we have had multiple groups or academic centers reach out looking to demo the program, see what we're doing. We are the only program on the market that automates the daily schedule. So this is kind of a new area when it comes to anesthesia scheduling.
Thank you.
Sharad, just curious, is this kind of system deployable in other areas within the systems, or is it just anesthesia only? Do you see other markets that this might be helpful in?
So it's a great question, and I had this conversation yesterday. There's many implications, many iterations we could do from this type of program, and the most obvious being general OR management. So the same surgical team, the units, it's more than just the anesthesiologist and the surgeon. There's a scrub tech, there's a circulator. There's the same preferences with surgeons and circulators, surgeons and scrub techs. And so having a similar system in play, so the whole team is put together via an AI-driven model, is something that's definitely on the back of our minds. And as we grow this side of things, we want to start to iterate and bring those into play as well.
So right now, are there existing OR management systems that you would be then competing with from on the other side?
To my knowledge, there's nothing that automates the schedule making like this. And so to give you an example, I work at a major trauma center in a very affluent area, and our OR nurses and our scrub techs are scheduled via pencil and paper. And then the day is managed via a magnetic board. A magnetic whiteboard is how the day is managed. And so I would like to see that move to a monitor, to a more robust platform, which can capture the data, can easily move things around, display it a lot nicer, and modernize healthcare in 2021.
Thanks.
Curious, what are the biggest obstacles that you had to overcome so far, or that you are still trying to overcome?
So I think the biggest obstacle in the past was getting that algorithm right, getting the algorithm to do what we wanted it to do. We wanted it to do the legwork for us. And that's where we felt we would set ourselves apart from any other product on the market, is getting that automation there. So that was the biggest hurdle early on. It took us 3 or 4 months to really fine tune that and get it right. But we were very confident in where we're at now. And we've built some very easy ways for users as they come on board to edit and manage their own rules. And so they can make little edits and modifiers as they start to use the algorithm in clinical practice.
Thank you, Michael.